Howdy y'all, it's Anna with Always Right, and in today's writing vlog, I am going to be kind of restructuring my first act. I'm basing kind of the restructuring on Save the Cat Writes a Novel. And if you've been on AuthorTube any period of time, you've probably heard of this book. I bought this book and I didn't use it for my very first draft of my book. And I'm about to go in and edit and do my second draft. And I was just kind of like, let's read this before we go into it. And I'm so glad I did. There were quite a few things that really bothered me about my first act of my book. And they are stated here, as you can see. And they got under my skin, and I couldn't put my finger on why they weren't right until I read the Save the Cat Writes a Novel. Basically, in today's writing vlog, I'm gonna be going over kind of the beats that make up Act 1. I'll be describing them a little for you. Also, I have my want and my need, and we're just gonna chill, basically. It's not gonna be a long writing vlog. I'm not going to pull out my computer to actually write this. Before I get into the beats, get into restructuring, wanted to do a quick little update, but it's like a hi, I'm still alive. I am back working, and I'm working 60, 70-hour weeks, just trying to play catch up and trying to put some things into motion that were supposed to be in motion by now. So I haven't really had time for writing, but I have a deadline now for my second draft to be done, and that is going to be October 21st. I'm giving myself basically a full month from recording this to finish my second draft. I don't know how realistic that's gonna be, especially because I'm having to restructure my entire first act, and I've got to take like a hard look at my third act. I've had so many videos pre-recorded, I just haven't had the time or the energy after work to go in and edit them. Let's get into the Save the Cat beat sheet, basically, for Act 1. I also wrote down want and need, and this is for my main character. It's not for like every character. In my first draft, I didn't even really address her want or her need. I basically just like flew by the seat of my pants for the first draft, and we're not gonna do that going into the second draft. This is my first time kind of processing the want and need of my main character, so I'm not like the source to cite when you're looking at a want and need for your character. But the way I understand it, the want is kind of how the character acts at the beginning of the book, what their goal is at the beginning of the book. And then the need is what the character realizes they actually need to do. And the want and the need are usually not the same thing. So I'm gonna write down my character's wants and needs on a different colored pen. That way I can keep track of my things. So I have my character's wants and needs written down. I wish that I had written these down earlier or realized them earlier in the writing process, instead of going into Act 2 being like, I think that sounds about right. Now, let's go to kind of the Save the Cat beats that make up Act 1. So the first beat is opening image. And this is kind of a before snapshot of your hero and their world. The opening image is the opening to your character, main character preferably, and their world. For example, in David Baldacci's Memory Man, we're introduced to his main character coming home from a long stakeout for a few hours of sleep before he has to go back out on another stakeout. And this opening image sets it up as he's a detective, he's a police officer, and he's very dedicated to his work. Basically, if you want an example of any opening image from like any book you can think of, just go to the sample pages on Amazon, and that's kind of the opening image for you. You generally want your opening image to be compelling. You want your opening image usually to endear the reader to your hero, or to have the reader empathize with your hero. Or main character. She just uses hero in Save the Cat Writes a Novel so many times that it's like, my brain's like hero, 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 but it can be main character or villain, whatever. Next beat is theme stated. And this happens, according to this book, at around the 5% mark. And this is a statement made by a character that's typically not the hero, that hints at what the hero's arc will be. That is what the hero must learn / discover before the end of the book. Also referred to as a life lesson. And I can already tell you that in my first draft, I did not have a theme stated. I didn't have a theme. In fact, I had quite a few strings that I had laid out that could potentially lead to like foreshadowing that didn't. So I need to implement a theme stated, and that shouldn't be hard. I say that, but it might be. And the third beat is setup, and that takes place between the 1% and the 10% mark. The setup is an exploration of the hero's status quo life and all its flaws, where we learn what the hero's life looks like before its epic transformation. So the setup is where you introduce your main character's goals as well as your supporting characters. Keep in mind that there is a character that's called kind of a B-plot character that most authors, and this book suggests you introduce in Act 2. That's actually a big change that I'm making in my book, is I'm moving this giant chapter from Act 1 into Act 2 so that it satisfies this template, and also it satisfies like a problem I had with my first act. I remember when I was writing into Act 2, I was like, well crap, that scene in Act 1 should probably be in this act instead, but I just gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it for editing self, and editing self is not happy. not too unhappy because I have a first draft, but unhappy. Also in the setup, you should kind of show your main character's resistance to change. Your main character wanting to kind of maintain their life, not really wanting to go off to wizarding school or go off, you know, and be the hero that they gotta be for the book. That kind of makes the break into Act 2 more interesting and more tense. So the fourth beat in Act 1 is the catalyst, and the catalyst should happen around 10%. The catalyst is basically your inciting incident. You've probably heard of inciting incident quite a few times around AuthorTube, but if you don't really know what an inciting incident is, it's generally kind of a life-changing event. Harry Potter gets his letter to Hogwarts. A body is found at the Louvre. Those are two huge examples of inciting incidents. Basically, what the inciting incident, the catalyst, should do is make it almost impossible for your main character to just slip back into the world you established in the setup. Basically, you don't want your reader to read your catalyst, your inciting incident, and go, so what? Or your character to go, so what? That means it's not big enough. It needs to be a bigger inciting incident. And the fifth beat that takes place from 10% to 20% is the debate. The purpose of this beat is to show the hero's reluctance to the change, aka the catalyst, aka the inciting incident. Basically, the debate is kind of a reaction from your character to the catalyst. Those are the 5 beats in Act 1 that I have to restructure my book on. So in my first draft, my opening image I think is all right. However, I don't like a few elements of it, so I'm going to kind of shift it because I spent too much time in the first chapter talking about this one location that we only visit one other time, and that's at the end of the book, and that's probably gonna change. I'm going to change my opening image pretty drastically. So the setup in my first draft was pretty thin. There wasn't a lot of setup. I pretty much went face first right into the inciting incident, and yeah, it struggles a little because of it. I felt like quite a bit of my description, quite a bit of my setup was actually in Act 2. So I just need to shuffle Act 1 and Act 2 on a few scenes and it should be better. As for my catalyst, my inciting incident, I'm pretty proud of it. I don't think I need to really do that many changes to it. So I have one itty bitty little point that I don't have to mess with. However, on the debate, there is half of a scene of debate for my main character pretty much. And then I dove straight into that scene that's gonna be moved to Act 2. So it's just kind of like, If you're stuck in your book, you're stuck in your editing, you can't figure out how to fix it, I highly suggest you look over Save the Cat Writes a Novel. It can really help you. You can be like me and just kind of pants your entire first draft and then look at this for your second draft and go, okay, this is what needs to be fixed. Or what not. But I'm tired. Kind of a secondary channel update if you've made it this far. But work is going to slow down after this week, the week of recording and the week of posting. Hi. Hi, I don't have a buffer this time. It upsets me greatly. But I was just about to go to bed. I seriously recorded this video about Stop it, Siri! I seriously recorded this video about 3 different times, if not 4. And I tried to do it like one night before I'd go shower. I tried to do it and then I would just be so tired that I'd be looking at the camera and I'd be like, inciting incident. And so I couldn't use it, you know, I just couldn't use it. So I was about to go to bed. I was all showered, you know, all clean, all ready for bed. I have my hair in my little buns. I use this to curl it. It's not like a race thing. It's not like a cute outfit. It's just, this is how I curl my hair because I don't like using curling irons. I don't like using curling irons, so I put it into these teeny tiny little buns and then I take it out in the morning and I spray the hell out of it with hairspray. I put it up in a ponytail and it's like vivacious, bodacious, fun, you know, and I'm just like, the vlogs will be lively again. I am starting to have more time off on the weekends. I was seriously working weekends too, and today, Sunday, I just was like, no work, I'm resting, end of story, you know? Yeah, and so I actually had time to go to like a little fair here in town. It was like a craft expo where at least half the booths were boutiques, like clothing boutiques. That's another rant. No, but I did buy some really fun stuff. I bought some like wooden bowls that were hand spun, you know, like they put it on the little spinny thing and they take the chisel. I don't know if you've seen those Facebook videos. I bought 2 of those. I bought one for my aunt for Christmas and then I bought one for me, and I just have it chilling in my house already. I'm like trying to stay safe from COVID. I hope y'all are too. It's kind of crazy out here in like West Texas. At the fair, there were maybe 10 people total that I saw that were wearing a mask and like wearing it correctly. That made me nervous. Made me so nervous because there were people that were definitely not from our city there, quite a few of them, and they weren't wearing masks. And there were quite a few old people there that weren't wearing masks, and I'm just like, please don't. Thank y'all so much for watching. I am going to be posting more writing vlogs, which will actually be me writing, not just like me holding up a book and reading from it. But I do post writing vlogs on Tuesdays and general author tube content on Fridays. So as always, let's get writing.